Well, let me take off my old type glasses. But greetings, everyone. Good evening, or I guess it really depends on where you are. Welcome to the Gundam Explained podcast. Excuse me. This is episode 67. 67, I think.
67
But
sounds right.
okay, thanks. But no, yeah, thank you, Stephen. Always there to double fact check myself, because I always need that in my life. But no, yeah, good to be here. We're glad you're here, Stephen. For those that might have missed it, Stephen had a live stream on Tuesday during the day, and it was actually pretty cool. It was with a regular, that shirt dude. Um, Multiple names you might see between Twitch and YouTube chat, but very cool stuff he does within the Gundam universe. He has his own niche when it comes to like the games and all that. So check out. I have Steven's link in the description, but yeah, check that out to check out that
Yeah, much
channel.
appreciated. Happy to be here.
No, it's always good to talk Gundam. And yeah, just to look in the chat, I see Dark Samurai Neo, and I guess just had leg surgery, but I'm luckily not doing more better. So I don't know if that means you're not doing better or you are doing better. Hopefully you're doing better, but you're saying you're not going to be able to watch my videos for some time. So yeah, that's sad to hear.
Rest up, buddy.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, if there's any way to get the videos to you, let me know. Like you need some email to you because you can't access the browser or something. I don't know. Let me know. Santo Bell just saying hi, off to work. I go. Have a good one, guys. Yeah, good to see you, Santo. Zionic Shadow, let's do this. Jedi Sayla, good to see you. Zionic Fenrir, Robert, Ian, Neon Wave just got here. What did I miss? Well, nothing. Because we have just started.
That's the best part.
I know. So, so this past week, well, on this show, I'm gonna kind of show off a which for Mercury Gunpla I'm building. So I'll show it on the stream. And then we'll also talk about a few other things, including an idea from one of the supporters, Sway, was for doing some like Gundam trivia thing, and that is like totally aligns with what I'm trying to do, because a lot of doing this channel was for me to learn more about lore, the Gundam lore, a way for me to find certain subjects to research and talk about. So I like the idea of coming up with a Gundam explained sort of lore trivia thing. Maybe in a little bit we'll kind of talk about certain ways we could tackle that, because that would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
but
looking forward to stumping some people.
See, that's what's cool about it. There's so much to Gundam, especially like if you were to ask trivia questions, you would almost have to say, okay, this is just anime specific. This is just manga specific. Or the questions would just be so specific to allude to what context it is. A little more than Star Wars. Star Wars does have that like legacy now, the canon and legacy and all that. So there's just some differentiators there. Yeah, Steven, anything you've been up to this week, Gundam related?
Well, so I've got a high grade Zeta that's currently in parts. I've been working on a little experiment here, because we all know, and Sayla's in the chat, so she's gonna agree with me on this, that the real grade Zeta kit is hot garbage. So I was thinking to myself, how can I take the best parts of the real grade Zeta kit, which, like, for instance, you take a look at the wing binder here, and then you compare that to the high grade wing binder. Very similar in style, but you flick out the wing for Wave Rider mode on the high grade, and it's kind of unimpressive. But then that real grade one, man, I tell you what, you've got like a dual locking system. It's like a freaking switchblade. That's a pretty awesome wing. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I fashion this into a high grade part so that I can get all the posability and playability of the high grade, but with the detail and sweet features of the real grade? So, between that and since I'm terrible at painting Gunpla, I was like, well, I might as well try and paint some little 1 to 1/44th scale buildings. And so that's what I've been working on, as well as putting together some diorama pieces that we're going to have fun with. You know me, I'm always hacking
experimenting on something new. Yeah, did you get that building on Amazon?
I did. Yeah, it's I
Yeah,
think the
because
brand is like Outlands or something like that.
yeah, I've seen a bunch on there. I've grabbed one before. It's one that looks like it's kind of has some destruction to it. Um, but yeah, painting it really adds another level. Yeah, that would be fun to do. That's
Yeah,
a good idea.
and it's good practice, right? Because you're panel lining, you're painting, you're weathering, you're doing all the same stuff that
Yeah.
you would do to a Gunpla, but it's a box. So, how hard could you?
Yeah, right. No, that's a good point. But with the Zeta, so I like this idea because that's something I would totally like if you were to come up with like this is how I was able to make the ultimate 144th scale Zeta. I
Oh
would
yeah.
totally follow that guidance. So yeah, as you're coming up with that stuff, yeah, let me know.
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
I'm
It's
down to do that.
and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have two real grade Zetas
Oh,
because I broke the first one that I tried to build. So these are from the broken Zeta, which
I
the only
see.
thing that's broken on it is the shoulder. So, basically the whole kit. But all the
Yeah,
wings,
one
everything
piece is
else is
broken.
totally intact. So
Oh, that's cool. Um, I like that idea a lot, actually. And then for me, and I'm gonna try to show it here. Hopefully, I don't
yeah,
drop
what are you
something.
working on here?
What's up?
Yeah, what are you
Oh,
working on here?
so this was just from my video that came out. Like this thing is just. I haven't been so enamored so long with something, and this isn't a kit. This is the Metal Robot Spirits Hazel Custom, but with that Harududu option part set. But I have it kind of configured in just something I personally felt looked sick. And I mean, it takes some of the ideas that it's already doing. I kind of dual wielded on here, even though it's already dual wielding these.
The
It's
quad
just
wielding?
little armor pieces you could just randomly put places. So I just kind of the shields on it. This thing is just sick, and I was doing the video for it, and yeah, it, if you guys watch the video, it's just crazy. I feel just making it because there's just so much you could talk about with the thing. There's all these pieces to it, and it's yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean those robot spirits, they kit you out with accessories.
Yeah, and that's what got me into them because of the effect pieces. I was like, that's sick. I wish all like I really wish when you would buy a Gunpla, it would come with like, they have the beam sabers, but at least like blaster shots or
Something.
yeah, like if it's
Some thruster plugs or something.
yeah, what was the other thing that I was like because the with the Zaku 2s, they don't have beam rifles, they use the what 140 millimeter, I forget what it's called exactly, the gun, the
Oh,
machine gun they use.
oh yeah, yeah, the 120
120.
millimeter
Okay.
machine gun.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I I could give you the model number, but I mean, there's several different model numbers out there.
It depends which one. Yeah.
Right.
No. No,
That's
that's
actually a quiz that I dropped on my Discord a few weeks back, where I took a picture of 5 different high grade Zaku machine guns that all look identical with very subtle differences, and I said, "All right, here are the 5 model numbers. Give me the model numbers for these." That could be an interesting trivia question
yeah.
because
That's part of it.
only
Yeah.
one person got it. So,
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one.
yeah.
Hey, Brian Zanichelli, good to see you. Ian, is saying I was trying to convince Sway to join the dark side the other night. Oh, what is that? The dark side. Oh, buying robot spirits. That might be it. Um, Xonic Shadow. I knew the real grade Zeta was gonna suck. Just sticking to high grades, but there are some real grades that are good. I would say the Mark II for sure.
Yeah, I've heard that the Mark II, the new Gundam, is
Oh, the
probably
new
one of
Gundam.
the popular ones. I think that they
Yeah.
just can't nail down that transformation mechanism.
And it's funny. Speaking of real grade, I was on Reddit and someone was just posting about something. I forget what I was reading, and the comment was "real grade G Savior when," and I was like, "Yes." And but here's the thing: the reason that really makes sense is if you look at the G Savior, it has a lot of these interesting detail markings, like that. It's not that noticeable, but it's there. A real grade would lend to that. The high grade, you have to put in a lot of extra detail to pull that off.
I agree. No, I think that
Yeah.
the real grade, The real grade line has some amazing panel lines already scribed into it, so you don't have to scribe in extra panel lines. And so the G
Yeah.
Savior being the first, uh, what would you call it? Like the first real type, since it was the first live action
Oh yeah, that's right.
mobile suit.
Yeah.
There's a certain element of realism that should come with that.
And you know what I remember too is, with the real grades, the whole thing is about having an inner frame system where, putting armor pieces on it. And actually, the G Savior functions in that way, and where it's kind of modular like that. There are parts in the
Yep.
times in the movie where you see the arm without that armor. So again, I think that lends to the real gradeness of that. So,
Yep.
um, oh yeah, Zionic Shadow's even saying he'd get that real grade. So, yeah, that Mark too.
Yes, recommended.
G Savior's more frame than armor. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yep.
I think
Sailor says it wasn't live action, it was CGI. Well, yeah, so's the legendary one that's gonna be on Netflix, right?
that's funny. Yep. Technically it wasn't live action. No, that's a good one. Okay, I'm gonna jump into something here real quick. I'm gonna do some live, speaking of live action, some live action moving
There you
into
go.
the windows here. Yeah, I want to show off this Witch for Mercury kit. So what was really cool about this was it just happened to be on Amazon to ship next day. And okay. And I did pay a little more than what it goes for retail, but not too much more. Um, but anyway, some of the interesting things I wanted to get out of this was, okay, so this is like, you would say, like the latest kit. We've got that real grade God Gundam that was a recent one, but in terms of high grades, this is like kind of a newer one, and I was kind of curious about building it. And so far, building this, it doesn't. What I like about it, and I think it just has to do with me always building UC suits, but this does not feel like the typical Gundam build. The parts are very different, even just like even the skirt armor, the way that it connects here, the back is
Yeah.
not too dissimilar, but the front here, it's kind of a weird angular thing to give it some movement.
It's very reminiscent of the high grade IBO kits where there's kind of like and going back to what you said about them being kind of an inner frame with plate armor kind of attached to the outside of them.
Yeah,
Some places the armor is kind of attached in interesting ways, but it is
yeah,
interesting to see
even
these new, you know, design philosophies and assembly materials that
yeah.
they're working with.
Well, I was gonna take it apart, but yeah. So what's interesting is, so this abdomen chest piece, like it's just two armor pieces I put on, but really you build that under uh part first.
Now I do have to express my disappointment because you didn't get the Delanza Ghoul custom type or the what is I always forget the Darabald. Um
Hey, I
so
would be getting those for sure, but this
look,
was
hey, if
the
it's not Ghoul, it's not cool. All right.
okay. Now that's a good one. That's a shirt.
That's a
That
t-shirt
is a
right
shirt.
there
That's a shirt.
with just
Um,
the pink hair right there. Like just the
well,
pink spot of hair. If
oh
it's not Ghoul, it's not
yeah.
cool.
Ah, that is good. You better do that, or I'm going to. No, but what is pretty neat about this too was the stickers. So on the head, there's a sticker up there, and on the side, if you take your time and put them in, it looked nice. It didn't look bad like they sometimes do. And there was
Yeah.
an option, so where that kind of star is on the head, there was a clear part. I just put the sticker on it. Some people might not. It was kind of weird that it's a clear part, yet the sticker is more colored. It has the silver and purple. So I don't know. Maybe we learn more about that in the actually, because I think this is in the prologue. And
I think
and so
so.
that's the thing. If I was to go and buy some Witch from Mercury kits, I actually probably first would buy like one of that you mentioned or the Ariel. Um, this was just the one available. Um, let's see. Let me go to chat real quick. Oh, the Chibbity Crockett hair. That's what that
Never
is.
made that connection.
I bet you that was done on purpose. That had to have been right. I'm gonna believe it. Um, let's see. Oh, you know what? Hey, someone I know is in the Price of Jess. Good to see you. Long time no talk. Um, Mewtwo Frieza mobile suit. Ah,
It does
yeah.
have that vibe to it.
Yeah, I get that. And so once I start finishing up the build, you'll kind of see how it has some gimmick parts. Now, I think it was Kakarot has a review up, I believe, of this one. I think Mecha Guy Go-To does too, but Kakarot um does for sure. And I think, yeah, he was talking about how like the way, I don't know if it's pictured on here. Yeah, well, on the box itself, it has two of those orbs shooting out. Unfortunately, It only comes with one.
What?
So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. So you'd really want to buy another kit if you wanted to kind of complete that. So
No, we're gonna file a class action suit against Bandai for false advertisement.
but anyway,
or we're just gonna 3D print one.
oh well, there you go. You start 3D printing them and then having them really cheap for people to buy, and then people wouldn't be buying the second kit to have that piece.
There you go.
That would totally get into Bandai's
Stonks.
profits. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Rogue New Type, good to see you. Didn't see you there. Oh yeah, Ian saying Mecha Guy Go-To has reviewed that kit. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Well, anyway, if anyone has any other questions, I'm actually going to do a full review of this kit anyway, but just, it was interesting. When you see the kit, I'll go through it in the video, but it's a very easy build. I don't know if
it should be.
Yeah, and so that's what's weird. It's like the first kit I built was the real grade full armor unicorn, and so that like set the bar for when I would build.
Masochist.
Because I had no idea. And then after that was the master grade origin. So again, I was used to a little more elaborate stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick. Let me redo this just a second. Anyway, so with this latest episode of Witch for Mercury, I don't know, did you happen to see it? I mean, I don't know if that's a dumb question anymore.
I haven't actually watched this episode, this week's episode. I'm behind.
Good. I've
watched 1 through 3, but not the 4th one.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Good. I'm glad I can't assume that everyone's going to be watching every show all the time when it comes out. Like Andor. Did you happen to watch the latest Andor?
Well, I don't have Disney Plus, so
there you go.
I rely on my Andor news from you.
Well, I will say this last episode of Andor was probably the best one. And it was just straight up world building. It's like showing like the Imperial prison system. It was just great. But
that's cool. I mean, and that's what that show should be used for, right? Because Andor is not a character that, we know where his story ends. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it also does a good job of kind of like showing him go through things, and it would kind of connect the dots in a way.
Yeah,
maybe I won't spoil too much yet, just in case others haven't seen that yet. But no, with Witch from Mercury, this latest episode, without spoiling it, the biggest takeaway to me is I'm surprised the show kind of is continuing to like linger on what it is, which is just more of that. Which I don't mind it, but the character drama, the high school bullying character drama, Soletta, you're not fitting in because you're not doing this. Like, they for a second started talking about the world, the issues going on with the world right now. So like, they really focus more on the Spacians and the Earthians more than it's just a little bit though. So I'm hoping that then this episode is kind of the gradient into making it more about the world than just the people on the ground. Even though I like the characters they're setting up, they make Ghoul a very interesting character.
Oh yeah,
it's almost like he doesn't even know what his motivation should be. He just knows he just has to do what Dad's saying.
Well, and that's kind of an overarching theme of the show so far is there's this
Yeah.
rejection of what our parents want desire of us, and each character kind of reconciling that with their own way. Ghoul struggling with what his dad wants. I'm gonna butcher her name, but Miorine, um,
Oh,
and what her parents want, and then of course Suletta, we kind of know what her mother wants her to do, but is she going to necessarily fall in line with that? That could be her sort of character arc. But I'm glad that they're taking a step back from what it sounds like and kind of building up that drama a little bit because the first 3 episodes were very breakneck pace. We're talking like mobile suit fight, mobile suit fight, mobile suit fight.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
good
that's
that the
true.
show's kind of given us a little bit of time to breathe and digest some of the world and some of the
Yeah.
character development.
Yeah, that's
And
a
I
good
hear
point
I see
too.
Choo Choo in the chat, and like everyone loved the Choo Choo character design, so I'm glad that she's finally getting some love in episode 4.
Yeah, yeah, what was the other interesting part about that episode? Yeah, they were showing more, I guess, with the training, the kind of world building with that. Um Man, I want to say there was something else to talk about, but that might be a topic for later. Just kind of how they're diving into some of the story. You know what?
Yeah.
Something I wanted to click on real quick. So this is a buddy of mine I'd known forever. Haven't talked to in a while. I just rebuilt my PC, got a 4090 GPU, and spent like a total of 8K. A total at three. Oh, hold on, at 3K. Went to my
No.
new monitor. HDR game is so crazy. Love everything about it. Okay, well, Jess, we need to talk again because I have built a whole new machine since the last we talked. Yeah, so I'll have to hit you up. Thanks for stopping by.
That's wild.
Um,
Mad lad
yeah,
out
no, that's
here.
crazy. Like I think when the 3080s first came out, that's when like the PS5 and Series X came out, and everything was hard to get. And
Yep.
finally, I got the 3080 Ti, and then the 4090s are out. But I guess it's one of those things where there's not much of a difference, you know. But if you're
Yeah,
building
I've
for the
I've
first time, or if you're building a brand new thing, you might as well get the latest anyway. So
right. I think that that's where, you know, if you're just in the market for immediate need, then it makes more sense to, even try and get a used 3080.
yeah,
But like,
yeah,
if
even
you're trying
lower
to
than that.
build for
Yeah,
the future and, kind of future proof your machine, it might be worth splashing the cash.
yeah. I think that's what it seems like. I did because the build I had before this was all high end stuff, and that lasted for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the card I had at that time, 1070, but I don't know if that was a Ti or yeah. But anyway, um, anyway, okay. So what I was gonna go to next is let's see. Apologies for moving this stuff around. I think there's actually an easier way that it can like automatically adjust things, but you know what? This is cool. It's like Photoshop, like the easy
Yeah.
Photoshop. Paint. Yeah, that's it. Um, okay. Some questions from why won't it extend anymore? Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay. Okay, podcast questions from Patreon. Sorry, guys. I'm looking for my browser. It's easy to read from that. Okay. This is from Brandon Keith with 2 H's. Which Gundam dubs do you feel were best in terms of interesting, relatable English speaking voices and strong performances that enhance the viewing experience for American English speaking fans? And which were the worst Gundam dubs in your view? With the exception of the first dub for the 1979 MSG compilation films and Zeta Gundam dub, all of the Ocean Group and another company post dubs have been some of the best English dubs ever done, with the exception of the occasional mispronunciation for certain Gundam terms and character location names. Gundam dubs are usually very well done.
Yeah.
So it says, with the exception of the first dub for the 1979 compilation films, was there a dub?
Yes, I think
Maybe
there
we forgot about
was. But if I remember correctly, I don't think that that was like an official dub
Yeah,
because
because I know on Netflix, it's the movies are just with subs. I know the
yeah, because I have the
show.
movie Blu-rays and those don't have English dub.
Oh,
which,
see
you
you,
know,
Lucas.
it could be similar to like I forget what country it's from, but I want to say it's like Singapore has an English dub of Double Zeta, which
Oh
is,
yeah,
man, that's rough.
yeah. As for I tend to not really. None of them really bothers me except for, and I heard this to the contrary in the Discord, but I think Wing is bad. There's
I agree
maybe
with
some
you.
good lines, but
I,
it's
I think that because the voice actor for Catra is the same voice actor who did Amuro, and he is a
oh yeah.
way more talented Amuro than he is Catra.
You know what? But that's funny because even thinking back, he is the more um I don't know how to explain this. He is the more connected to that character out of the group in Wing. Like when I'm watching Wing, at least for me, he seems to be the more like relatable, like grounded, like in terms of how he's reacting to things, where the other people are like a little crazy or whatever.
Yeah,
And
that you always have to have a character that is like the character that the audience can kind of like
attach
project
themselves
themselves
to
onto.
kind of yeah understand and relate to the world that's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then so good and bad, and I'm trying to think like another thing though, it's really hard for me to complain because I think it's a pretty neat feat in the first place to change one language to the other, make it fit within, and still portray the same information. So I don't really judge dubs too harshly. I kind of
Yeah.
just deal with it. I think. I mean, any dubs from Gundam stand out to you as good or bad?
I mean, I'm a fan of the original series. I thought that the casting was pretty spot on. The only, I would say, notable exception to that is the horrendously awful stereotype of the Black Tri-Stars going full country for them, like,
Oh.
Gaia Mash and Ortega, like, you know, it's honestly surprising to me how few Xeon characters in any dubs are given a German accent, considering that,
Yeah.
you've got names like,
Yeah.
Franz and Makuve
Krieger
and
Schneider or something, yeah.
Schneider. Yeah, you've got tons of German inspiration behind the entire army of Xeon, and not a single one has a German accent. You've got a few Brits in there. You've got the Black Tri-Stars, um, but yeah, it's just interesting to me. Interesting
Well,
casting choices.
so that brings up a good point because it makes me think about on one hand, what if that sort of accent would be lost by then? But on the other hand, we're seeing the last names as you said, so maybe that kind of culture has flourished and that's kind of retained the way to pronounce things.
Maybe so.
And I think that kind of goes in line with their ideologies too. It kind of, without making it seem like that's, being judgmental on a group, that's almost like saying everyone from that bloodline will be Nazis for the rest of their generations. But like, so if they made if the live action movie is Xeon, would would you expect that they really drive hard into like the German sort of
I mean, I would expect at least Christoph Waltz to play Makuve.
um,
I mean,
yeah.
he'd be pretty fantastic, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, what Amuro is canonically Canadian, so
Yeah.
what's that? One of the Ryans, Gosling or Reynolds.
Oh yeah, there
And
you
he'd
go.
probably be calling
Oh,
everybody hoser.
man, you were just blowing my mind.
I
Ryan
don't know anything
Gosling.
about the Gundam.
But
When in doubt, eject it out.
but no, that just makes me think of something like Drive, that movie Drive with Ryan Gosling, except instead of the car, it's a mobile suit.
Oh man, I'm
Like
sorry I ran you
and
over.
instead of doing the stunt, because that's what it was, he was like a stunt driver. He's just a mercenary for hire. He's like, if Federation needs a guy in his GM over there, he needs a guy in the GM, and he just does these jobs. And he's quiet, and I like where this is going.
Yep,
I like
but
where
we
this is
got to
going.
have some synthwave tracks in there. A
Exactly.
little, yeah.
Exactly. That's gonna be my Mobile Suit Gundam Neon fanfic. That's gonna mainly be the story. And the visor has like a pink neon look to it. Oh, and you see the sun setting in it, and it has that pink look with the clouds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
That artwork would be sick. I gotta work on something like that.
yep.
Neon Wave. As a Canadian, I am proud.
You should be.
Yeah,
Namuro is fantastic.
what is it? It's so I'm really into metal and I follow Banger. It's like a YouTube channel and Twitch where they just review metal and talk metal. But it's funny, like it's all Canadian in terms of like everyone on that YouTube channel is like from Canada. They talk about bands I've never heard of because they're Canadian, and a lot of
Yeah.
influences that are from like Europe and stuff are like a little different than stuff that I am used to hearing when because it's weird. I guess looking up metal online, it tends to be since it's English speaking, like maybe more American communities, and so the Canadian stuff just never really gets that big. Um, yeah, just a random aside. Canadian
Things
metal.
have
If anyone
changed.
listens to Canadian metal, let me know.
Yeah, I wish Canadian metal got more love.
Let's see. Xiang Shadow, here a question: who would play Char in the live action movie? It would have to be a good one. I mean, you would.
I'm with Sayla. Sayla answered the
Okay.
question for yeah, and I think this is one that we talked about a couple weeks ago on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I almost feel like with this, especially because of the age they're supposed to be, um, it's almost like you got to get nobodies,
Yeah.
or at least just starting out actors.
Oh, what's the name
And
of that actor that is he's always on American Horror Story. He played the
is that
devil.
good? By the way, is that good?
American Horror Story?
Yeah.
I would say watch the first 7 to 8 episodes of every season and then stop.
Oh, okay. Well, it's
No,
made by the same people as the 911, and it has Angela Bassett too. So, and the
there you
deaths
go.
in 911 are insane. Like,
That's
it's pretty
wild.
much Final Destination every episode. Like, it will. I'm telling you, it will open up and it will be like an ice skating rink, and they start introducing characters you've never seen before and their backstories. You're like, okay, I know where this is going. And yeah, you see people's
That's the
fingers
one
get
that's
cut
going
off.
down.
Yeah, you see the skate go into someone's chest. It's a good
As long
show.
as you don't have what's his name from CSI Miami coming and making a joke about it and then
that that that's the best. See, you're doing it again. That is the best combination. CSI meets Final Destination, where he's the detective tracking the deaths, and he has a one-liner for each one. And the one-liner is what steals the scene.
oh yeah, absolutely. Looks like this victim was impaled. We better take a stab at finding who did it.
Oh man, I remember when that show first came out. I loved that because it was like this guy was just a badass, and he didn't even look
Oh
like a
yeah.
badass, but he was just being a
David
badass.
Caruso. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it was. Yeah, that was really
Man.
cool. Um, okay, there's something else I saw. Oh yeah, you know what? So that the English voice actor for Char from the original 0079 passed away, and is that
Yeah.
a different
Yeah.
voice actor from Char's Counterattack?
I don't think it was the same one.
Oh yeah.
Chat will definitely
I
correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 95% sure that Char's Counterattack was a different voice actor than because
Okay.
even the voice actor who did Quattro in
Yeah.
Zeta was a different voice actor.
Yeah.
Um,
But what's interesting is because I just happened to follow him on Twitter and Instagram, the actor of G Savior, the main guy, he actually did a little RIP post to that voice
oh,
actor of Char. And I was like, wow, look at that connection there, keeping G Savior relevant. But really,
oh, see, I see
RIP
Sayla and
because,
Zionic Shadow are correcting me.
oh,
So so he did do
oh,
0079 and Char's Counterattack, but he didn't do Zeta.
okay. Thank you.
Now
Okay.
I do know that Keith Silverstein did Char and Full Frontal He did Char in the Origin and Full Frontal. That sounds so weird. Like, oh, he did Full Frontal in
Yeah, I know
in
that's
Unicorn, and but yeah, Keith Silverstein is I really like his voice for Char, and so going forward, I think that he is a suitable heir to the Aznavour
yeah,
throne.
that's a good point. So yeah, R.I.P. And it's just amazing. I mean, that guy's legacy is pretty badass. Like
Oh yeah,
how you you got to look at Gundam is just some IP. A lot of people in the world like it, so you got to think that
Mhm.
guy. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So that guy had a lot of people that he affected in some way. Pretty cool. Um. Okay, and then Jedi Say is also saying the actor who voiced Hero Yui also did a little tribute. That's nice. Um.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So. Oh, I love this from Kinbind. Quattro is a different guy. Hello. Like it's.
They
Why
say
would he
that
have the same
Char
voice
Aznavour
actor?
has an 8-pack.
That's what happened when they were making Zeta. They were like, "Oh, Quattro, so we'll have to hire someone to play Quattro." And then, like later in development, they're like, "Oh, he's Char." Oh, and then, like, well, too late.
Page 1, line 4 of the dialogue says, "He moves like the red comet. I can't keep up with that red mobile suit. He's just like Char." Like it is the most thinly veiled, the worst kept secret in Gundam.
Although I got to say, when I first watched Zeta, that was they made it obvious for people that really liked 0079. I remember when it's like it was pretty cool. I guess I wasn't that exposed online yet because I did not know. I was, but I think it was either that episode or the next one. Well, it's more of they never confirm it until later. So it's more like, oh, that's got to be,
Yeah.
but they're not saying it is. Like, I guess it's
Well,
not.
and the part that kills me in the English dub is when they're aboard the Guadin talking to Haman, and they finally reveal that Quattro is Char. Ooh, sorry, spoilers. Camille just lets out a about time. Like everybody, it's just
I love it. And that Camille voice actor, like I heard it in his voice after you said
oh
that.
yeah. And I think that was probably unscripted. That was he went off script and improv that line because he knew how American fans would be feeling.
Well, that's just kind of funny because really in universe, Camille was pretty smart, and no one would listen. No adult would listen to him, so nothing worked out. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so another Patreon thing here. Out of everyone in the original Gundam series, who do you think could be a better protagonist than Amuro? Personally, I think Sayla would have been a better protagonist than Amuro with the fact that she finds out that she has to fight her brother to protect her friends and her ideals. Yeah.
Yeah. Sayla's the obvious choice for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, obviously, I guess the idea of then as you're watching the show, you find out that Char's her brother and she being a main character. Yeah, that would be really cool. I would totally
Do you
do
have
that.
an alternative option that you're maybe thinking of?
You know what? I don't know. I think as a creator myself, I feel like I have kind of evolved what like a main character should be. I guess the thing with Amuro, it's like a nerdy male guy, not really nerdy, but just kind of a tech-minded male, and I think just that's kind of the largest audience that would, so it's like easy to like that. You know what I mean? Where if
Yeah.
Sayla was lead, that would be very interesting. It would be intriguing because it would be less that I can outright like connect with. I'd have to learn. So that's how if it wasn't Sayla, which I think is a great one. I think it would have to be maybe you know what? Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's Char. Maybe it's
Maybe it is.
Char. Maybe there was no Gundam.
Maybe it's a revenge story out now.
Well, yeah, and there was no Gundam. It was just the operation. They didn't have a pilot for their Gundam. Yeah, and it was just some random people would get into it. But Char was trying to hold off the Earth Federation without decimating them entirely, but also take back over Xeon.
Now,
Maybe.
before I give you my answer, I got to give a shout to Zeonic Shadow here. Can you imagine if
Oh,
Sayla had her own personal Gundam? I don't have to imagine it because the video game Zeonic Front is the only video game I can think of where Amuro is not unlockable as a playable character. You can unlock the Gundam, but you play as Sayla. Sayla is the
oh.
pilot of the Gundam in Zeonic Front, which I think is so awesome.
You know what? But that is pretty cool because like it could be that there's that time where she went out in the Gundam because Amuro didn't want to,
Yep.
and and I wonder if after that they could be like, oh well, then let's build her one, and
I
it
mean,
might have.
technically, they had three of them, right? They had the RX 78 1, the RX
Yeah,
78
that's right.
2, RX 78 3. So technically
But
speaking,
you could just go as far as be like, well, there just happened to be this other one, just in case when we found out that Sayla was Char's sister, and then they make like the
there you
special
go.
Gundam to fight. Yeah, I love that when there's
Um,
like this Gundam that happens to exist.
well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
but see, and that kind of parlays into who I would base the show around because one of the main themes of the show is duty and
Oh,
taking on responsibility. And throughout the series, Sayla's character doesn't change a whole lot. She is does the job. She knows what to do. She always does what's asked of her. She's not the one that grows over time the way that Amuro does. But another character that does is Kai Shiden because Kai
mm,
goes from being a coward, from being somebody who runs away from responsibility, who runs away from fighting, to basically having almost the same character arc that Amuro does, albeit in a slightly different
yeah,
series of
right.
events.
Like he's in the background. He's able to get information for, you know, um, his old crew. Yeah, as he
And when he
moves through the
meets
UC timeline.
what's the girl's name that he meets in Belfast? I always forget her name.
Which show was it? Was it in the
Oh, in
original?
0079, the spy that Kai
Oh,
meets.
that's right.
Miharu.
That's right.
Thank
Oh
you,
my
Sayla.
gosh, yeah. Ah, that was tragic. Yeah, that
Josue says Wendy.
that is what I
Yes,
called him.
the triple baconator with cheese.
Uh yeah, no, that was a good. Yeah, Kai's a good one. Kai really does have a good story, even though people don't really like talk about Kai all the time. He's not like a new Gundam where
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, look at these pictures of Kai," you know. But he's a pretty interesting character, especially how far he lasts, kind of being buddies with Bright and that team Londo Bell.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Um, let's see. This question is from Ian. When building Gunpla, what encourages you to customize your kit, or what prevents you from customizing it? Also, did you know that gun takes can dab? I've learned that from Ian.
That's the rumor.
What building? When building Gunpla, what encourages you to customize your kit, or what prevents you? I will say what prevents me is when I can kind of look at it, like glance at it, and I can already kind of see the detail. There's sometimes where I can kind of glance to the shelf, and then I can just kind of tell, oh, I'm seeing just a lot of flatness, and that's when I will maybe put more panel lining on it, or sometimes I might be like, this actually needs some decals. Maybe a high grade that didn't come with one.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I think it really is that. It's depending on the level of detail that I feel like it needs. What about you?
I mean, I generally start out every kit with the intent of customizing it. I think
Oh,
the most
that's
recent example I can think of is I recently bought the Origin Char's Zaku 1 with the intention of converting it into Eric Blanc's purple Zaku 1. But when I finished building it, I was looking at it and I'm like, this thing looks badass. I don't think that I can paint it purple.
it.
So maybe I need to get a second one. And
No, the paint. That's a good point because like I still have not really done a full paint job on any of my kits, and I need to. And for some reason, I mean, I bought the equipment, I just need to just do it next. And I feel like that would change. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like I would look at a kit and that would be the first decision. Is this something to paint or not? I feel like that's like the main thing you decide first. Um,
And I
you know,
think that a good idea, if you're someone who's just getting into Gunpla and you're trying to kind of cross over that threshold into customizing and painting, is to buy a kit that needs it. You know, a lot of these newer high grades and real grades, master grades as well. It's like you don't when you buy them and you snap build them out of the box, they're pretty much good to go. But you know,
yeah.
if you were to say, for example, get your hands on like this here high grade goof flight type, um, it's already missing a lot of color. In fact, the shield is supposed to match the armor. So, but the shield just came in solid black plastic. So
You know
this
what?
is a kit that already needs to be painted.
It's funny you said that because I saw the listing of that. It must have been Amazon or something to buy it. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, this would require me to do a little more work, and I don't feel like that. And and so that's interesting because I think that also determines what kit you're going to buy or potentially work on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, get something that is going to make you do the work so that you don't have the choice. You know, I sit here looking at it on my desk every day and I'm just like, just paint it. Just paint it.
Yeah, well,
Just paint
someday
it.
it will. So good answer or goose answer for top question. Personally, for me, I don't mind customizing a cheaper kit, but one that I spend a couple $100s on, I'm more afraid of doing anything else to it. With
Yeah.
that said, I do enjoy making changes to have something different, making something that no one else has. And yes, I know gun tanks can dab. Now, that's a good point. It seems like, well, I guess it depends. I would say typically the larger kits, like the crazy stuff, perfect grades or whatever, even like the high res, like the non-graded kits are
Yeah.
usually made to just build or whatever. And not totally paint. It seems like high grades or master grades are the ones that people really go all out with.
Yeah, they have some fun with them for sure. Um
Oh.
and you know, I mean, I'm such a I'm gonna call myself a perfectionist. Really, I'm just a coward. I mean, I haven't even built my perfect grade Zeta because I'm so
Ah,
terrified that I'm going to do something wrong and screw it up.
uh, yeah, it's like that with my Titans Pale Rider. I eventually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brandon Keith, what do you foresee for the future of Gundam in terms of anime productions? Next, there's TV edits of Hathaway, Thunderbolt narrative, and we're getting Gundam Seed movie plus Hathaway sequel has not started production yet. But what's next? Crossbone Gundam? I heard the Sunrise execs say they wanted two more, maybe finish Thunderbolt and Unicorn series. To be honest, I think it's a shame that they aren't fast tracking reanimation of 079 in the style of Origin Doan's Island film. The positive response to Doan's Island shows that everyone wants to see more 079 remade with modern animation techniques. And think that's true. I think we do want to see that. But something I learned, and it was it's something I think we talked about in the last one or before, was that you see Next 100, where yeah, it looks like their plan is to focus on Hathaway and then moving forward. I really
Yeah.
do think Crossbone is going to be part of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually are working on Crossbone right now, and then they're going to announce it maybe in a year or two for it to come out in another year because that stuff takes time.
My fear is to be careful what you wish for because, you know, I think that the UC Next 100 is it would be cool if they gave us Crossbone. I'm thinking that they might just, you know, axe the whole F91 and Crossbone storylines and just go in a completely different
Wow.
direction.
Wow. I see what you're
Um,
saying because they haven't now, although when they've updated the timeline of when the Zanskir Empire started. So maybe overall story beats in the universe they don't act, but then they like redo like F91
yeah,
maybe. But yeah, because they're gonna have those two other parts to Hathaway, and they're doing the TV edits at Thunderbolt, but I guess that's not reanimation; those are edits.
yeah,
But then I would think, yeah, it would be great if they remade 0079 with the modern animation because they did make the Doan's Island, even though that UC Next 100 was happening, unless they started that before. A lot. is up in the air to speculate.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
absolutely. Who knows what they're gonna do?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is probably hinged on the success or failure of Witch from Mercury.
Yeah, which leads into the next
Because
question.
yeah,
How is Witch from Mercury performing in the ratings in Japan and in the merchandise sales? He continues, to be honest, Witch from Mercury isn't really appealing to me personally. I think the musical score is very well done and the mecha battles are interesting, but overall, it's the same format that has been used for so many Gundam shows. It lack of humor. It overemphasizes space politics. There's an evil regimes, bureaucracy, political murders, discrimination arguments over public policy, and now they're hinting at lesbian relationships. I mean, seriously, where's the fun? Why can't Gundam be fun and packed better in terms of balancing action, humor, and seriousness, and less political and agenda based? Aren't most Gundam shows heavy handed and deep enough already? Where's the fun? Well,
you sir sound like a Double Zeta fan.
no,
Do
I
I have the Gundam show for you?
well, it. I for me, Witch from Mercury seems completely different than any other Gundam. Oh, in more in terms of the full on structure, it might take
Yeah.
things from different types, but it's really interesting because there's this lack of focus on the world in these first 4 episodes, and more of a focus on the character relationships in the school policy. It Not only that, but the lesbian thing doesn't seem like a big deal to me because I don't know if it's not like they've said that, and even
It
if
was
it
like
is,
it's
it's
two
like
lines that were kind of like a throwaway, and they haven't mentioned it since.
exactly, which could be the point that I think people might be missing here. Because if I'm taking it correctly, in this latest episode, we see Stiletto was sleeping over at Miorine's and even wearing her pajamas. Apparently, unless that was something else someone drew, I there was some details where they were talking about she had slept over at her house, at in her bed, whatever. So it's almost like right there they were showing without having to tell the audience, yeah, they're having a relationship. They like each other, or they're being intimate. They like each other, which is kind of the point of when you talk about relationships and stories, because there's no reason to like outright have to say this is my sexual orientation. People just do whatever they do. So I would say in that regard, um, I don't find anything from Witch from Mercury offensive. That when it comes to the
No,
relationship stuff.
it's the farthest thing from offensive. In fact, it's extremely vanilla.
Yeah, yeah. But and again, as for it being like any other Gundam, don't you think it's different?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
To me, it feels more like an anime than a Gundam show, and I say that
Oh
because
yeah,
I'm not typically an anime fan in general, but I like Gundam shows because they, you know, you don't have like a genre that's based around Gundam shows like isekais and
oh yeah,
right, like
yeah,
you have entire genres where they have a name for exactly the type of story that you expect to see in an anime. And high
yeah,
school drama with like death-defying feats, that's like every third anime on
yeah. That's
Crunchyroll,
right.
right? Like, if you're not a high school demon slayer, you're a high school turbo basketball player. If you're not that, then you're a high
Or
school mecha
spy
pilot. You're a
or
high
something.
school spy. It's like we get
You know what?
it.
And that is funny because getting into Gundam has gotten me to want to watch more anime, and I'll go on Crunchyroll and I'll read the description because it would sound awesome. It'll be like some demonic cover, swords, blood, and then I'll read it and be like, Chi Chi from his local high school went to go meet his friends in the cafeteria and opened up a portal, and I'm like, well, no. And so I'll end up never like really watching anything that looks awesome. Like one called like Overlord, I think, and it has like
I've
this
heard of that one.
awesome, yeah, and then I think it has something to do with just a board game, or not a board game, but a MMO or something.
Right, you're like, oh geez, it's not even real. It's like Quest
Yeah.
World. It's like,
No, so
what's he gonna do? Kill you in VR? Just turn off the computer, bro.
no, so Yeah, but that could be, Brandon might have a background watching a lot of anime, so it really to him, he's seeing, oh, this is very tropey for Gundam because he's not only seeing Gundam stuff, but also typical anime fare. So
Yeah,
yeah, that could be what that's all about. The other thing, and I'm gonna try to share it on my screen here. Let me pull it up. I just forgot where I sent it to. Like, I sometimes I like to take notes of when I find things and I'll like send it to my email, but sometimes I'll yeah, I can't find it anymore. So anyway, man, okay, I'm gonna find this because I want to show everyone on the stream. I'm like hyping this up. But just bear with me.
you're gonna let me down.
Oh man, I don't want to let you guys down. Okay.
Sayla, never apologize for your rants. I 100% agree with you.
All right, here we go. I have found the picture. I'm about to share my screen. Okay, so this is a full look at the Rust Gundam. I don't know if there's really a name for it. This is from that Rust Horizon manga. The Jet Black.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That thing looks cool. It's got the Xeon shield, or I mean Zaku to shield. And I'm interested with the things on the back. Almost reminds me of like the Mark II backpack with the beam sabers, but I'd almost want to say
similar.
that
And is that an MMP-80 machine gun that it's carrying? The Zaku machine gun?
I don't know, but if this was a trivia question, you would have got it right. No, but then look at the knives that it has back behind it. Like it can like pull out. Like I'm guessing that's what it is. Wait a minute. And then it has the Xeon emblem. I just realized that, because Makuve, I guess, was the one that like had this or something.
Yeah. The Xeonic Gundam.
That is just sick. So, like, what are the chances within 12 months there will be a model kit of this?
I sure hope so. I mean,
it looks great.
It does. It's fantastic, and I'd love to see it in its like full color glory.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost got like kind of a ground Gundam chest to it.
Yeah, that's what's interesting, and it has like something extra on the side. So I don't know if that's some. Oh, it's another knife. I just realized that. So the vent is covered by a knife.
Sweet.
Which is interesting.
That's not a knife.
Just a Gundam with the knife, like I thought the ball and chain was pretty weird, but I got over that.
And wait, no, it looks like I was wrong because that's a bullpup machine gun. It's got that magazine on the back.
Oh, in the back.
I missed that.
The drawing looks like the perspective was kind of messed up. Those MC Escher paintings, I think.
Yeah. Is it walking towards us or away? I can't tell.
Yeah, but no, that does it for the show. Obviously, Zionic Shadow saying that would be his Gundam. I mean, that seems like his taste. I mean, yeah. Let's see. Zionic friend, we're saying check out the OMS 90R Mars Xeons. Oh, that's right, Mars Xeons Gundam.
I mean, everything Mars Xeon is sweet. All of their like refitted DOMs and goofs.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So yeah, everyone, thanks for joining. That was a lot of fun. Just reach out if you have any questions or anything you want me to cover on the show, or you have any questions of the Patreon and supporter stuff. Links in the description for Discord, all that, YouTube membership, blah blah blah. There's the movie night, although it's in the day, Saturday. We're watching Hathaway, so if you're interested in that, check out the links in the description. And then with links in the description, Steven's page. We live stream over there. Working on random Gunpla projects over there. Steven, anything to add?
No, I think that's about it for announcements this week. Kind of a quiet week.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, then, that's it. Everyone have a good night. We will talk later. See y'all.
Cheers.